Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, ATP students. Today the topic is foreign policy, definition and objective of foreign policy. So first one, definition. Foreign policy is variously defined. In this broadcast sense, it includes the objectives, plans and actions taken by a state relative to its external relationship. In its narrowest sense, it refers to the action of government officials to influence human behavior beyond the jurisdiction of their own state. Foreign policy is not international relation, although it is one of its elements. A relationship is an interaction. International relations result from the action and reactions taken by officials of a nation state. It is product of interaction of many factors like historical, cultural, ideological, economic and geopolitical. These factors determine the country's foreign policy. So foreign policy in terms of objectives means the availability for their implementation and living foreign policy actions and eventual outcomes that may or may not relate to stated intentions. Thus, foreign policy is sum total of foreign actions for achieving objectives. Foreign commitments, the current forms of its interests and objectives, and principles of right conduct of foreign relations. So, let's say objective of foreign policy. First one, territorial integrity. The foreign policy of a particular nation state seeks to protect the territorial integrity of the state and protect interests of its citizens both within and outside the country. Therefore, the state used to follow the policy of status quo. Maintenance of relation. The objective of foreign policy is the maintenance of link with other nation states of the globe. It also adopts the policy of cooperation or conflict in order to promote its own interest. So national interest, the protection of national interest is the main objective of the foreign policy of a nation state. The national interest of each state is preservation of self-interest, security and peace, and well-being of its citizens. Often the national interests of various states came in clash. As each state protects its own interest. Economic welfare. The foreign policy of each state aims at promotion of economic interest of the respective country. As the status of state in international sphere is determined by the economic condition of a state. Thus, the state pursue the policy which can contribute to economic prosperity that further can enhance the prestige of the state. Enhancement of influence. The foreign policies aim to enhancement of influence of state, either by expanding the area of influence or reducing the other states to the position of dependency. The policy of the United States and the Soviet Union in the post-World War II period have been largely motivated by these considerations, like that kinds of foreign policy. So let's see. We can easily the foreign policies of nation states as being offensive, defensive, revisionist status quo, imperialist, internationalist, isolationist, interventionist, aligned, non aligned, and neutralist. So, offensive foreign policy, a policy which casts offensive or what to the international arena is known as offensive foreign policy. A dictator can follow this type of foreign policy. So, the second is defensive foreign policy, a policy which is against the warfare and intends to protect its country from the foreign aggression of offensive states. The democracies follow peace-loving or defensive policies. Revisionist foreign policy, a policy which seeks to upset the status quo or supports a review of the fundamental tenets of political ideology, is branded as revisionist and accuses the suspensions of their nation states of the globe. Industrial mighty states follow the adventurist or revisionist policy. Status quo foreign policy, a policy which maintains the situation as it is now and does not support the change in international relations with the other member of the world community. Under 12 states follow the status quo policies. Imperialist foreign policy, a policy which seeks extended the power and the rule of a particular nation beyond its boundaries and taking into its political unit the other nation states of the world. International foreign policy, a policy which supports and advocates the bringing under the combined control or protection of all nation states of the world. The policy favor for the establishment of the world government. Isolationist foreign policy, a policy which denounces the interest in international affairs or its policy of non-participation in affairs of the other countries. The United States followed the policy in the Monroe Doctrine, announced in 1823. Intervention foreign policy, a policy which seeks the armed intervention by one country in the affairs of other countries. The Soviet Union intervened in the affairs of Afghanistan in 1979 through armed intervention, and it followed the same policy in Eastern Europe in post-war era. Aligned foreign policy. It is a policy which brings all many states into agreement or close cooperation with each other regarding the international affairs. Non-aligned foreign policy, a policy which seeks a principle or path or practice of not joining either Western Bloc or Eastern Bloc or capitalist bloc and communist bloc. Neutralist foreign policy, it advocates for helping neither side in the World War I and World War II. When the term is applied in modern time, it means to help neither of power blocs.